In this segment, we will be showing you how to rebuild a hub, specifically an older style cup and cone bearing. So, first step, after we've taken it out of our bike, we want to undo the quick release. There, the nut comes off. Make sure you grab your spring, be careful not to lose it. And I like to just put the spring and then just lightly thread the nut on. And now we can just put that off to the side for now until we are finished. Now, this bearing feels a little bit crunchy, which means that it needs to be rebuilt. Hasn't been serviced in a long time. So we want to do, on this side, doesn't matter which side you start from, we're going to take our .13mm cone wrench, which goes onto the cone, and then we need our 17mm wrench, and now we need to loosen that. Take out the spacer washer. Remember where it goes. Now, we need to back off the cone. So now, with the cone wrenched fixed on that side, we want to loosen this side. Until that cone comes out. It's there. Now our cone is free. Set that off to the side. Now, we're going to take our pick, which has a magnet. Using the pick, we want to extract all of the bearings that are inside the hub so we can take them out for cleaning. In this case, there are 10 on each side, so be careful not to lose them as they are very small. Now, as you can see, there's no bearings in the cup. So now what I like to do, take a rag. That grease has been in there for a very long time. I can tell it's very dirty. Using the rag, we want to go inside of both of the cups on each side and clean out any of the old grease that is left over. This will ensure that we have a clean surface to put new grease on. It is also good while you're doing this to make sure that the cups themselves are not damaged. So now, just going to set my wheel off to the side for a minute. Now we need to clean the bearings. Just using the same rag. Start with one of the sides. Just going to kind of move them around with the rag, get them clean. It is possible that you would need new bearings if they are no longer round, but in this case, they still look to be in perfect condition. So now that they're clean, just put them back in a little magnetic tray so we don't lose them. Doing the same with the other side. Do the exact same process with the bearings from the other side, and then place them back in the tray. So now, just clean off the axle.
Make sure that you also clean off both of the cones and the axle, as you want things to be as clean as possible when you reinstall them with new grease.
Now ready for our wheel. So, taking my Park Polylube 1000 PPL2 or any other grease, I'm just going to put a healthy amount of grease inside the cup of the hub. And this is a repair you really only need to do every so often. There, that looks pretty good. So now, taking our bearings.
Now that our cup is properly greased, we can take all of our 10 bearings on this side and place them inside of the cup. Make sure to spread them out as evenly as possible.
This one should have 10, and we're good. We have 10 bearings. So now, take your clean axle, insert it in. Now be very careful when you flip because you don't want the bearings to fall out. Now you have the other side to put the bearings in. Once again, I'm going to take our grease.
Now pack this side with grease the same way that you did on the other side. Now we can insert the bearings on the other side. The axle is there now, which will actually help hold in all of the bearings when you place them in. So, pack your 10 bearings inside the grease, and then we'll be ready to attach our other cone.
Now, take our cup. You can see this side, you can see actually where the bearings rested, because you can see kind of a, not necessarily a groove, but more or less just kind of wear from whatever finish was on there. Just gonna
Tighten down the cone until it is hand tight.
Before we go any further, I just want to make sure that this side is tightened down. We didn't touch this side, but I'm just going to tighten this down anyway. Moved a little bit, that's good. Just going to kind of wipe off some of this extra grease. It's kind of a messy process, but that side's clean. Do the same on this side.
Now, take the spacer washer and put that on top of where the cone is. Then, thread on your lock ring.
So now comes the tricky part. We need to make sure that the preload on the bearings, or basically the tension on the bearing, is appropriate. You don't want it to be too loose, where it walks back and forth like that. And you don't want it to be too tight where your hub hardly spins and it takes extra effort. So, you just have to find the happy medium. So going with the other side, put that on that 17, and I'm just going to tighten. Ready to once again tighten that guy down. That's pretty good. Hub's rolling. It's not wobbling back and forth. Now your hub has been fully serviced and rebuilt. Now you're ready to ride.